Folks, before the holidays, I got the chance to play a ton of the Street Fighter 6 beta, as you probably saw by all the videos that I uploaded while I was gone. But now that I'm back, I've had time to reflect on what I thought about the game and especially how I felt about all the characters, because I did have time to try pretty much every character that was playable and put some time in. So I thought I would make everybody mad by making a tier list. Guys, Street Fighter 6 day negative 150 tier list, okay? Now, this is not going to be a tier list ranking how strong the characters are. You know, it's not just going to be S tier, A tier, B tier, whatever. It's going to be whether I think that you should pick the characters and what kinds of players I think should maybe try out which characters first. So our tiers that we're going to be working with here: play if you want to win tier, just the characters that felt really, really strong to me and that you don't have to put in a ton of work to make this character strong. Play if you want a challenge. These are going to be characters that are fun and strong, but they take a little bit more work. I think you're going to need to be a little bit more of a character specialist. Play if you want to learn. I think these are the best characters for picking up and learning the game if you're a new player. Then we have don't play, characters who I just don't think you should pick unless you have some super special reason, like you're a huge fan of the character. And then finally we have not playable, characters that weren't in the beta. So let's just do those first. Blanca, Honda, Dalsim, Manon, Marisa, and JP, and DJ. Almost forgot DJ. These guys were not playable, so let's just throw them on there. And let's start out with the play if you want to win tier. So I think to a lot of people, there was one character that stood out as really, really powerful in the beta, and that was Guile. So, you know, obviously if a character stands out as pretty overpowered, it does seem likely that they might get some nerfs when the game comes out, so that could happen with Guile. But as he is right now, Guile is pretty insane in Street Fighter 6. So there's a few reasons for this. I think one is his pokes are generally really strong. So his back fist, forward plus heavy punch, his standing heavy punch, his crouching medium kick has always been a good move in Street Fighter, but now you get a combo off it on punish counter. So the new punish counter system is helping him out a lot. Flash kick is massive. It's an amazing anti-air, fills up like the whole screen. His combos are really out of control with his new install super that's kind of an adaptation of his V trigger from 5. So really high damage, really great neutral. Perfect sonic boom is not hard to do at all, and it's a really strong move. Plus sonic blade now, he can really mix up his zoning patterns. So I think Guile is a monster in the current build of Street Fighter 6 and possibly the best character so far. But there's one other character that I want to put in play if you want to win tier, and that's going to be Chun Li. I don't know, is this an unpopular take? I don't see that many people talking about Chun Li in 6, but to me, from what I played, she seems extremely strong. So as always, she has really good pokes, really good walk speed. That's kind of what Chun Li is known for. But she's got some new stuff that's pretty amazing too. So now her up kicks special, which she didn't have in Street Fighter 4 or 5. She now has it back, and now it's invincible to airborne attacks, and it's an easy input. It's down, down kick, so no charge required. So now she has a super reliable and pretty decently damaging anti-air that she can do on reaction whenever the opponent tries to jump over her fireball. Speaking of her fireball is really crazy in this game. Fireballs in general are like really, really strong. I think they knew, you know, because drive impact exists and because you can parry fireballs, they wanted to make fireballs pretty strong to make up for that. So hers are really good, and the fact that her slow fireball is really slow can really mess up opponents who are trying to parry it. Plus she can like walk behind it and pressure, plus she can have plenty of time to stop you from drive impacting through. So her neutral between her pokes, anti-airs, fireball, walk speed, her neutral is really amazing. Plus her combos, I think, are a lot better than what we've seen in most Street Fighter games. You know, she has her super that launches is back from third strike, so now she can combo off of super. And because EX meter and super meter are no longer kind of tied together, the fact that she can confirm from EX legs into super and combo off it for a ton of damage is really good. Plus she has an air super now. They did take away some stuff like her stomps not hitting overhead anymore is kind of a bummer, but she still has a lot of mix-up juice. You know, she can bait throw techs with instant air lightning legs, and now in her stance she has a lot of high-low shenanigans as well, and she can can combo off of drive rush, down forward plus heavy punch, her new overhead. So really crazy character, and I think potential top tier contender, at least in the beta build. But let's move on. You know, I don't want to talk too much about how strong a character is because that can change a lot, but I think how easy or how hard to play a character, I think that is going to mostly remain the same because that's an intentional part of the character's design. So characters who I think are a little bit challenging, I think Kimberly stands out. She definitely felt strong in the beta, but she also felt like the kind of character where she's going to take a little bit more work. She doesn't have as strong of neutral game in terms of like pokes as a lot of characters. You kind of have to get in with her to really make stuff happen, and that can be a little bit tricky. A lot of her options in neutral are going to be unsafe, like her sliding kick. But she can be really, really tricky as well. She's got her teleport. She's got ways to alter her jump arc, like with her elbow drop. She's got some really amazing combos, it seems like. So if you put in a lot of work, I think Kimberly can be really good, but she's definitely not the type of character like, say, Guile. I think you immediately know what you're supposed to do with Guile. You're supposed to throw sonic booms, do flash kicks, and poke with his amazing pokes. But Kimberly is a little bit more opaque. It's like, okay, I got to get in, and then I got to figure out how I'm going to apply my mix-up, and so many things are so risky if they're blocked or, you know, interrupted. It can be a little bit hard to get things going, but I think that this character is really strong. But, you know, it might take some work. It might take you being a bit of a specialist to get really good with Kimberly. Another one I would put into this category is Juri. So Juri, I don't think she's as hard as Kimberly, but she does have some stuff that is like a little bit tricky to get a handle on. Like she has to charge up her quarter circle forward kick attack. So you kind of have to balance an extra resource on top of everything else. You're going to have to be periodically charging up and making decisions mid-match. There's already a lot of hard decision making in terms of like what resources should I spend, how much meter should I use on this combo, you know, etc, etc. But now you have an additional choice of like, well, I can give up my Okizeme in exchange for getting some charges. So those decisions can be a little tricky as well. Her combos can also be a little tricky, especially with like Feng Shui Engine. Her combos can get really crazy and out of control, and I think she's not a super high damaging character, but you have to do like some pretty crazy combos to actually wring good damage out of her, so that can be hard as well. Her neutral though is not that difficult. Standing heavy kick is a really crazy poke. Her crouching medium kick and towards medium punches are really good pokes as well. So she can poke well in neutral. You just have to be a little bit scared of drive impact. So I don't think she's as difficult as Kimberly, but she is a little bit more of a technical character and someone who it's not going to be immediately obvious what you should be doing at all times with Juri. Next up, we're going to be talking about some characters that I think are good for learning the game with. So we got Ryu. Obviously, Ryu, the poster boy of Street Fighter. He's got the classic fireballs and uppercuts. The most basic sort of Street Fighter game plan is, you know, throwing fireballs and uppercutting the opponent when they jump over. And it's a strong strategy in this game, to be honest. I think a lot of people thought that fireballs were not going to be very useful, maybe similar to Third Strike, because they did bring back parry. But no, I can tell you fireballs are still really insane. They're really, really good. The difference in speed between his fireballs is very drastic. His Denjin fireball is so fast. It catches people out of jump like all the time. His combos are also not that hard to execute. He has basic stuff, you know, like crouching medium kick, EX donkey kick, uppercut. That's like an easy combo, does huge amounts of damage. So you can do a lot with a little with Ryu. He has good ground game, amazing anti-air, obviously, and generally I think is just an easy character to play. And if you want to learn a character that is more fireball oriented, if you want a fireballing character, I think other than Guile, Ryu is probably going to be your best choice. So I think he's a great way to learn the game. We're also going to include Luke. So Luke, kind of the new Ryu. And in a lot of ways, he plays similar. He has a fireball and an uppercut. He's a little bit more melee oriented. So he's kind of like the brawler version of Ryu. And I think in a lot of ways, similar to Ryu, he's going to be great for learning the game. His combos are not that hard either. And just like Ryu, he can do a ton of damage without having to do anything super optimal. Like Juri and Kimberly, it feels like you kind of have to learn longer combos. But with these guys, you can just do like 3 or 4 hit combos and just murder the opponent. So you know, I didn't play a ton of Luke. He's probably my least played character, but he's still a lot of fun. Next up, we're gonna put Jamie. So I mean, maybe I think people thought that Jamie would be kind of hard to learn because he, similar to Juri, has a second mechanic. He has to drink to get stacks, and then once his stacks go up, he unlocks more and more moves. So that can maybe be a little bit tricky, but at the end of the day, I think Jamie is a pretty standard fundamentals-based character. His crouching medium kick is a crazy poke. His sweep has ridiculous range, one of the best sweeps for whiff punishing or catching people walking in the game. He has a pretty straightforward Rekka game plan, like you want to poke people with your long-range pokes and then use your Rekkas to kind of force your way in and make the opponent guess, you know, mixing that up with throw as well. He can be really effective that way. I think his combos are like not crazy hard at all. It's pretty straightforward stuff, nothing too overly complicated. The only real complication is going to come into play where you have to make those decisions, similar to Juri, of whether you want to drink or whether you want to just like take your opportunity to do Okizeme. And one nice thing about Luke, I think, is that he can kind of force the opponent to come to him. A lot of times as a newer player, it can be annoying when you play against a fireball-oriented character. You know, you have to like keep chasing them down, and that can be really frustrating. But if they just keep throwing fireballs at you, you can like sneak in drinks from full screen, and then the opponent's like, wait, I have to go in on Luke. So it can be kind of nice that he can force the opponent to play at his pace and come to him, which can be a nice thing when you're not super good at getting in on the opponent who is zoning you out. So I don't think that Jamie is a very difficult character to play. I think he's a great character to learn the game with. If you want someone a little more different and not like a standard Shoto style character, I think he's a great choice. And speaking of Shotos, how about we just throw Ken in here as well? I think Ken is good for learning the game. He's kind of the counterpoint to Ryu. Ryu, I think, you can do really well with fireballs. Ryu's fireball is crazy, and Ken's fireball is good, don't get me wrong, but I think Ken is a lot better up close. He can whiff punish really well with standing roundhouse, so I think that's kind of a great way to learn that aspect of footsies, is, you know, shimmying around at that stand roundhouse range and fishing for counter hit, rather punish counters with that. That can be really effective. Plus his mix-up is not that complicated. Like, he has dedicated mix-up kind of moves like Jinrai kicks and like his heavy wheel kick, which makes him plus on block. You can, you know, use that to mix in frame traps and stuff like that. So I think if you want an offensively oriented character, Ken is a good way to go. So let's move down to the don't play category. I've run out of characters. There's no one to put here, so I'm just gonna go with my gut and put Luke down there. All right, guys, don't play Luke. Even though he's on the cover art of the game, he's lame, guys. Don't play him. Okay, that's it for the video. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.